Hey guys, Hannah here from Reality Awareness. Welcome. Check out the beautiful morning. It's so pretty here. Super love my office. How is my office? It's amazing. All right, let me share this live stream. I've got a big energy update for you guys to talk about. There's a lot of stuff that wants to flow through me this morning. So I want to talk about headaches, migraines, third eye awakenings, because everybody's going, my headache. Plus I want to talk about anxiety. Yeah, a lot of people have been feeling intense waves of anxiety, not being able to wake up, not being able to sleep. Yeah, so waking up in the middle of the night. I want to talk about homeschooling. I want to talk about why the dragons are really strong and present for so many people at the moment. I want to talk about the big V, and I was like, oh, the big V can be virus or vaccine, so let's talk about both, shall we? I want to talk about the nano technology, the microchipping. I want to talk about the real reason that Archangel Metatron came through. So you guys know, right, that Archangel Metatron came through just before I got in the car and came here, like literally the day before, right? It'll like channel through this, it's called the sacred geometrics activation. Yeah, and when I was driving along at home, like I was driving along that morning and Archangel Metatron's like in my ear, like, you know, this, you gotta have to, you know, channel this sacred geometrics. And I'm like, sacred geometry? And he's like, no, sacred geometrics. And I'm like, okay, and I'd never heard of that before. Anyway, so this sacred geometrics activation by Archangel Metatron, so probably going on about 3 weeks ago now, 2 to 3 weeks, 2 weeks actually ago, it came through, and it actually puts more oxygen into your system, okay? So I'm going to talk a lot about this nanotechnology, microchipping, the big Vs, yeah, let's just call them the big Vs, because a lot of people are in a lot of fear about it, a lot of people are in a lot of fear around the 5G, and I've got a lot to say about it, right? The headaches, the migraines, all of that sort of thing. It's all connected, and I really want to speak to this. If you haven't got the Archangel Metatron activation, please get it. It's $11 US. It is literally, it activates more oxygen in your system, and you might be like, well, how does that do that, you know, without it just being a meditation? I was like, well, when we really look at the core of what everything is made up of energy. Even the trees that seem like they're hard, they're actually vibrating matter, right? So when we really tap into the core of what is the truth of what's going on, we can go down the rabbit hole, right? We're going to go down it a little bit today. All right, so I want to talk about Archangel Metatron, because Archangel Metatron came through, like I said, 2 weeks ago with this sacred geometrics activation. But just the other day, I got so excited. I was like talking to someone, and I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot, right? I forgot that in December 2019, so at the end of last year, Archangel Metatron also came through, and I posted in my Trust Intuition tribe, I posted in there with the stuff that I'm going to read out to you, because this is so pertinent to what's going on, right? Everyone's like, what's going on? It's the light and the dark, and it's the Luciferic, and it's the Satan, and it's the Cabal, and it's all this shit. And I'm like, no, guys, it's beyond that. Right? It's beyond that, all right? And I've got a lot to say about this. And Archangel Metatron has a lot to do with it. So let me continue. I also want to talk about not the tsunami. So a lot of you guys have been messaging me, asking me about what's this tsunami? Why go inland, right? Is it because you think a tsunami's coming? And I was like, well, I kind of do, but at the same time, I'm like, who really knows? Like, that stuff's been predicted for eons of time. Right? Like, so many people for a long time have said there's going to be a pole shift. There's going to be, you know, like the continent shift. Like, we're due for that. We are, like, but in the frame of what span? Like, in a span of like 50 years are we due for it? Do you know what I mean? Like, could be tomorrow, it could be in 50 and 100 years. Like, we don't know. Do you know what I mean? So I want to talk about this as well, because a lot of people have been like freaking out because of what I said in that expansion preparation guide, which, if you haven't got that, I'm going to put the link in the comments, but it's also in the heading of this live stream as well. So I see a lot of you joining live. Say hi, let me know you're here. I can see so many people live. And I'm going to get really hot sitting in this sun already. I was like, it's cold here in Victoria. And then as soon as the sun comes up. All right, so let me have a look here. I'm just going to pull this up. And I'm going to share this. I haven't even shared this live stream yet. And if you've got any questions, just let me know. I'm going to check these comments here too, because I know you guys, I had mentioned that I was going to go live as well joining live. Yay! All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Curious how you guys are feeling. As I know there's a lot of people messaging me in a lot of fear, and I'm going to speak to that as well because, yeah, it's important, of course. It's very, very important. So I'm just sharing this. Just don't mind me. I'm just being one thing at a time present. Oh, I see you guys commenting. That's so weird. They're not coming up on there. So I'm going to have to bring this up as well. That's okay. Oh, how quiet is it here? It's so beautiful. Can you guys hear the birds? Been up since 2:30, couldn't sleep. Okay. Let's talk about that stuff, hey? Because that is no good when you're wanting to sleep. When you're needing sleep. And then the next day, whenever that happens to me, like, I just feel shit the next day because I'm like, I need sleep, man. So let's talk about what that means as well. All right, one more share to go, guys, and I'll be right with you. I can multitask, but it's better I concentrate on this. Otherwise, I share the live stream to the wrong places and stuff, but it's so good. Well, maybe it's where it's meant to go, but you know what I mean. So, and whilst you're waiting, you can let me know if there is specific things you want me to talk about as well. Yay, that's easier on my phone. And I meant to say, like, celebration, the internet's still here. I know I posted about that yesterday. But it's kind of like, I was like, oh, 1st of April. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, on whose time zone? Like, who said the 1st of April to on which time zone? Like, anyway, talk about trusting intuition. All right, I'm just going to quickly jump in this group and see if you guys had commented anything that you want me to specifically talk about. And then I'm going to... Okay. Oh, it's so interesting. So Forest Fern has also said, is Forest Fern live here? New back in September, October, what is happening now? Yeah, a lot of people have known about it for a long time. So Forest has said as well, does anyone know of good resources for connecting with dragons? I don't think Hannah has anything specifically for this. Actually, yes, I do. It's actually not an audio meditation you can purchase by itself. It's actually part of the crown chakra consciousness. So when you go to my website, realityawareness.com, and when you go to online courses, the dragon and all about the dragons is a section out of the crown chakra consciousness course. Yeah, it's a tiny little section of the big crown chakra. The dragons are very connected to the crown chakra and the heart chakra, right? So whenever the dragons, and it's so interesting, right? So when I just arrived here and I opened Instagram, I just had a look at Instagram. Look at the first thing that came up on my feed. Oh, hopefully you guys can see it. Oh, it's all a reflection. Look at the reflection of the thing. Look at the dragon, right? I might post this in my Reality Awareness support group. This is a image by Anne Stokes. Anne Stokes is awesome with her artwork. But this was the first thing I saw as soon as I pulled up. I'm like, yep, the dragons are here and look how much they are protecting us. So dragons deeply, deeply connected to our heart chakra. Yeah, they're the earth paganism. They're like, they're reptilians, they're reptiles, right? So in my preparation expansion guide, in our preparation expansion guide, Lucas co-wrote with me, that is the Hermes healing activation. If you don't have that, please make sure you have that. That Hermes healing activation is deeply connected to the ear chakra consciousness. So those of you who are new to watching me and to Reality Awareness, I am creating and have been guided to create and in process of creating a course on every single chakra, right? So each chakra for me is an energy center. Yeah, so everyone knows, like the third eye, for example, and each chakra has a consciousness. Yeah, and so the entire series that I'm creating is called Rapid Ascension Awakening, and I've already done Earth My Reality, Activate, Awaken Your Higher Senses, which is the 2 chakras above the crown, and then Activate Your Higher Senses, which is where the dragon is the crown chakra consciousness. I've done the third eye, and I'm what is it? I'm right now in the ear chakra consciousness, right? So it's huge, right? Like Rapid Ascension Awakening is huge, and I've been creating this since about April 2018, and I'm only up to the ear chakras. With the chakras I work from the crown coming down. So yeah, so the dragon meditation is in the crown chakra consciousness. You can't purchase it by itself. I'm sure maybe other people have dragon meditations, you can go there, but it is in the crown chakra consciousness. Everything that I talk about, I have created something for it. Yeah, I don't talk about something and then I don't have something not to help you guys with it. Yeah. Okay. All right, let me bring up these comments, consciousness, these comments. Yes, she does have a Meet Your Dragon meditation. Yes, that's right. So it is in the crown chakra consciousness, guys. Yeah, it's in the entire course. You have to purchase the entire course if you wanted it. It's very, very powerful. There's also the dragon support energy clearing in there as well. It's one of the most powerful forms of, well, chakra energy clearing. So yeah, that's already there. So the Hermes healing activation, yeah, is one of the meditations out. So these courses that I create, they're quite huge. I'm like, yeah, let's just create like these courses of like, but they're massive, right? Because when I'm explaining the depth of every chakra, there's a lot. Yeah, like the third eye chakra consciousness is all about relationships. Yeah, there's so much relationship healing. If you've got any relationship issues, that's the one to go for, right? Seeing the past, present, future of your third eye, and about seeing the truth in all those relationships. The third eye is all about relationships, all about dynamics. So when people are then telling me that they're getting migraines, headaches, waves of anxiety, like there's too much energy in the head, number one. Okay, so when we talk about anxiety, there's too much feelings in the heart. Yeah, and when there's too much feelings in the heart, it backs up and it comes into the head, and that's where headaches are, because there's too much going on. We can't figure it out. We're like stuck in our head. We're like, it's just too much. We can't figure it out. We're like, and it's just like, this pain. What's going on with my reality? Right? It's third eye chakra consciousness. We're trying to see the truth and we can't, and there's just so much and it's building up, and like, so we just take a tablet to like numb it. There's nothing wrong with that. In a way of supporting yourself, I always say, if there's any addictions, don't focus on releasing the addiction, focus on releasing the pain under the addiction. The addiction will come off naturally, right? So when we look at anxiety, headaches, and third eye pain, what's happening right now is we're bursting into another reality that humanity is not seeing, right? Humanity has not seen what's going on the planet right now. Like, this is going down in the history of all time, right? This is, in the crown, as I say, and the reason that I teach from the chakras coming down is because everybody's like, from the base up, like I don't know how to say it. I'm just going to call it, it's not old. I'll say maybe current, like the current way of chakras, and that is like awaken the base and we come up, right? But for me personally, a lot of people been coming up and we're all reaching up there to spirit, when ultimately we are spirit. It's in us, right? Enough reaching up there, enough cut off from our feelings, cut off from our body. We need to come down, bring the light down, transform down, and awaken and birth our purpose, right? Our spirit needs to come into our body. A baby is born, supposed to be, through the crown. We're crowning that way, right? We come into our body. So the light then comes down in through our body. So when we've had a spiritual awakening, a whole new reality bursts open. And sometimes it's overwhelming and confusing, and overwhelm is a sign that your brain neural pathways are changing, right? And then with what's happening on the planet right now, there's an awakening going on, which is activating the heart, because source and spirit coming in is automatically aligned with the values of your heart, with the core of humanity. And so the heart is automatically awakened. Yeah. So when I teach light-field yoga again is a specific class for each chakra. Yeah. There's a specific sequence for every chakra. And when I teach the crown chakra class, the heart is deeply so in its presence the whole class, because they're deeply aligned, right? So when we look at why the dragons are around right now, the dragons deeply connecting us to the truth, back to the heart. Now, in the Steiner philosophy, we come down from spirit and then we come back up, right? So a lot of people know that theory, so to speak. We've been descending in darkness, and now we're starting to awaken and come back to the light, right? That's what's happening in humanity through, is it like the 12,000 or 24,000 cycle or something? I can't remember off the top of my head, right? A lot of people probably know what I'm talking about. So when we're coming down, at the base here is the heart. Yeah, when we come down from spirit, at the base is the heart. Yeah, the heart is deeply connected to the earth, to the shamanism, to plant-based stuff, to, you know, earth-based magic, to the shamans, to, you know, like being grounded on the earth. Now, a lot of people will either resonate with being like the galactic beings, or they'll resonate with being deeply connected to the earth shamanism, right? And so when I say ancient blooded healer, this is very much that you've always belonged on the earth. You know, a lot of people are like, I'm a galactic this and that and whatever, and like, that's all good. Like, you've got to find what you resonate with, right? For me personally, I'm right here. I've been here for eons of time, yeah? 26,000 year cycle. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, right? So this whole third eye chakra and, you know, headaches and too much going on. Number one, especially if you're waking up in the middle of the night, okay, especially right now, okay, if you're waking up in the middle of the night, you have feelings in your heart that are waking you up, okay? A child who wakes up in the middle of the night crying or won't get back to sleep or is fidgety, has feelings, then that's what's woken them up. Why? Because when we are sleeping, there's no distractions. During the day, we're busy. We've got this to do. We're trying to figure this out. We're like, oh my God, the family and this and the world and what's going on? There's no space. Usually no space, right? Usually no space during the day. Oh, I forgot about my phone getting hot. I might have to move. It's cold here and then it gets hot, right? Which is good because soon it'll be winter and it probably won't be warm. Yes, me every night since lockdown. Okay, so how do we solve this? Okay, so number one, watercolor painting is like the best thing to download feelings for your children, for yourself. It doesn't have to be a work of art, okay? That's not what we're focusing on here. We're focusing on downloading the feelings from our aura. Why? Because water is deeply connected to our emotions, and watercolor painting, get like a piece of paper, get your watercolor paint, put it on, and just let the paints do whatever. Like, you know, like just don't even think about it, okay? Just blah, get another piece of paper, blah, how am I feeling? Actually, I'm feeling all this black shit and I don't freaking know, in confusion, gray, rah, like get it out, right? And then get another piece of paper. How am I now feeling? Oh yeah, I'm still feeling like this. What do I need? I need an angel to support me, or I need a crystal, or I need something, right? How am I now feeling? Oh yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better. Different sort of a painting, right? Watercolor painting is the best. Now, a lot of people on lockdown, you might be going, well, Hannah, I don't have watercolor paints. Okay, next best thing, normal paints, crowns, textures. The main thing, color. Color deeply helps your intuition get stronger and grow, yeah? So strengthening your intuition, strengthening your spiritual organs, and also to help, what's the word, like decipher your emotions, okay? So, okay, so watercolor paints, crowns, textures, color. If you don't have any colors, use pens, okay? Something about the transformation and alchemy from taking your thoughts and your etheric and all the intuition and actually putting pen to paper. Yeah, there's something really powerful about that. Okay, what else? Okay, so getting the feelings out of the heart. Yeah, so make time for that during the day, right? And this is what I shared in the preparation expansion guide, to create space during the day for a sacred ritual, okay? Sacred ritual could be meditating and expanding to spirit and, you know, sending love to the earth or whatever. Or your sacred ritual is taking time looking for this. Yeah, like, I mean, taking time to download these feelings, right? That is one of the most powerful things you can do for humanity, right? Sending love out to everyone on the planet while you're full of feelings and hurt and confusion, Earth's not really in the same alignment, right? Started coloring after years, yes. So Mary says she's gone crazy looking for clear quartz crystals. Okay, you do not need a physical item to receive the energy of the thing you are needing. So important, guys. This applies to everything. You do not need a physical item to absorb the energy of the thing that you're craving and needing. Okay? If you're craving a clear quartz crystal, but you can't get hold of any, you meditate and you call all of the, are you guys doing this while I'm talking, right? You meditate and you call all of the clear quartz crystals that are on this planet, and you absorb the energy of them into your system, you become aware of what's going on in your system to allow yourself to receive that energy. Yeah, and then you can choose to stay deeply connected to the clear quartz energy, being mindful that it is an amplifier, right? So whatever you're feeling is going to amplify, yeah? And be able to hold that energy, yeah? I'm just gonna have to move, guys, because I actually don't want my phone's overheated and I can feel it's doing it and it's starting to flick on the screen. So bear with me while I move. I did not think about this. I'm gonna say I should have, but ultimately. And I'm gonna check these comments. I know I've missed some comments in the start, so give me a second. Sunshine fixes everything, right? All right, just gonna move this over here. Why do I always try and send? These are good questions, guys. Let me speak to these. All right, that's better. I do not want. How's my office? Just like everywhere. No, all my stuff is everywhere, but that's okay. Things don't have to be perfect, right? What crystal is best for the heart chakra? Whatever one calls you, yeah? Whatever one calls you. I know that might not be the answer that you're wanting. All right, that's better. Now I don't have to worry about my phone overheating and I can stay present with you guys. All right, so these are good questions. Let me bring up the comments. Okay. And I forgot about my coffee. Yes, rose quartz, I would have said emerald. And this is why I don't tell you guys what to do. I tell you how to tune in to what's right for you. So, but yes, emerald, any of the green stones ultimately, because green for the heart chakra, rose quartz. Yeah. All right. So, and just on another thing, so I'm just bringing out the comments, but so Mary says, thank you for that. I do feel like there's something trying to burst out of me. Thanks for the insight. So in a sense of like, so waking up in the night, yeah, so it's so important to like get these feelings out. Number one, now the light's all funny because I've moved. It's like, okay. So I got the shadows going on, which is so pertinent. Okay, so the waking up in the night, so the feelings, okay, number one thing. So experiment a bit, okay, experiment and see if by taking time out to download feelings, right? Even like setting a timer for 10 minutes and journaling on a purge journal to get out the true feelings in a sense of, so you can, you know, draw color, but also like a purge journal around like, okay, I'm feeling really scared. They're doing this, this, and this. I keep seeing this coming up in my feed. This is going on, and then this is happening, and then this is happening. Like intentional purge, okay? Get rid of that, okay? And then do a drawing or coloring, or then write some positive affirmations, okay? So important to face the fear and acknowledge it. It's okay to be in the darkness, right? Because as we do, we take our light of consciousness there, and it's like we're wrapping it up in love, transforming it, and we come back to center. Okay? All right, so. Okay, so Keza says it's raining here. Is it washing the airborne virus away? It's so interesting about that, right? So let's talk about that for a moment. because you said something else as well. Hang on, I just want to speak to that too. I'm just checking out these comments, guys. So Keza says, I was seeking support from my mum and all she did was disappoint me, hurt me again. Okay, don't speak to people who don't get it, guys. I can't stress this enough. You're on my Trust Intuition group. Should be posting in our group. Just saying, with so much love, okay? Don't speak to people who don't get it. Like, it's a thing. You want to keep getting hurt? Sure. Go and continue to stay in that vibration. You want to be supported and transform your reality and being in a place where you can actually shift through and process what's going on. Get around those people who get it. For those of you who are new to my feed or first time watching, please let me know, of course. Comment below, let me know where you're tuning in from around the world. But in my Reality Awareness support group on Facebook, it's a free group and there's all of us like-minded people in there. So if you've got stuff going on, you can ask for support and guidance. You can just get clear in your head, okay? And just being able to, you know, have that support from people who get it. Because a lot of people don't have people around them who get it. The reason I started Reality Awareness online is to meet you guys, because I was in exactly the same point. Like, it's like, that's why, right? I'm like, there's more people. There's like 8 billion people in the world. There's got to be people who get it. And the reason I started this is to connect with you guys, okay? Awesome. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so, so just let me speak to these comments. So why do I always try to send out love and healing light when I feel like shit? I don't want others to suffer like me, but why do I always have to suffer? I don't want to feel selfish. Okay, so I feel like that comes from a bit of a people pleaser role. Like, it's not okay. This is deep stemming in childhood, okay? It's not okay for me to feel bad or upset or hurt or angry, because if I do, right, childhood learning patterns from our caregivers, if I do, I'm going to get belted, sent to my room, told I'm not good enough, kicked out from my family, like, you know, tribe thing. Like, that's like a survival mechanism, okay? And so we learn these patterns called control patterns, called addictions, called ways of behavior that enable us to suppress how we're feeling and be able to be there for other people, to feel good enough to be loved and accepted, so we don't get kicked out of our family system. Basically, that is the core of it, okay? So when you can recognize when you're feeling shit and then you're like, okay, I gotta go heal the world. Like, no, take time out to face the uncomfortable feelings, because they're only uncomfortable in the start, because as a childhood pattern learning role, you were taught that if you cried, you're gonna get belted and sent to your room. Well, that was my thing, right? Stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about, okay? These are deep in the family system things, okay? So when you're ready, you know, when you feel like you're like, okay, like feeling like shit, but I'm going to avoid that and I'm going to go and do something else. It's the suppressing that's like caught up in the head. That's where the anxiety starts, and that's where, because there's so many feelings in the heart, but I don't want to feel them, and then I've got a headache and then I can't sleep, and oh my God. You see the pattern? Okay? Now this is very common and prevalent in our world right now, because there's a lot of uncomfortable feelings, a lot of out of control stuff that we're like, what the fuck's going on in the world, right? And so we don't want to feel that. Why? Because we feel powerless, we're out of control, we don't know what to do about it, we don't know what's happening, we don't feel safe in the world. And so we're going to like, okay, cool, I need to like save the world and meditate and send this Hitler, whatever, I don't know, right? But then we get stuck in here, and then like we're so busy during the day trying to do all this other stuff for other people, we forget about ourselves. Forget about tending to our own heart and our fear and our scary feelings and all those things, right? And so then we try and go to sleep at night, all those feelings are still there. You haven't faced them, you haven't turned to them like you would a small child in a dark room who's really scared, because that's ultimately what's going on. You haven't turned to that little child and said, come here, it's okay. It's okay, the world's really scary right now. I'm scared too, but I'm here for you, and the angels are here, and Hannah's here, or my tribe's here, my mentor's here, whoever. We're gonna get through this, and it's okay to feel scared right now. Like, guys, as an adult, or you're speaking to a child, it's so important you say these words. This is the reality that so many people are feeling but trying to deny. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel hurt. It's okay to feel confused and out of control. The thing that's not okay is by suppressing that and trying to go and do other things to avoid that, right? And it is a muscle. It does take practice to be able to look at yourself and to be able to sit with those really uncomfortable feelings, because we're taught from a very young age that it's not okay, right? So as we're going through this wake up of consciousness right now, this is about learning how to feel your feelings in your heart, to be able to move through and stay here, rather than get here and get woken up in the night and get more exhausted and more run down. And what's the best thing for a healthy immune system? A happy heart and lots of sleep. Sleep is like the best healer in the world. So if you are waking up in the night, I'm pretty sure we're on lockdown, so I'm pretty sure you can sleep during the day. Catch up on sleep, okay? The other little piece about waking up in the night is sometimes you can get woken up in the night. Yes, feelings are probably usually the biggest one, especially if you're suffering from anxiety and headaches during the day, okay? Really important to notice those bits. Then the other piece is, if you're waking up in the night, maybe you have work to do, maybe you have a book to write, maybe you have a blog to write, maybe you have stuff to do in your business, okay? Really important there to notice those sections. But again, if your anxiety, headaches and shit during the day, guarantee it's feelings that you need to deal with first, okay? So really had to speak to that. All right. Best office ever, yes. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly check these comments and then I'll come back here. Headaches and third eye pain. Yeah, and so the third eye pain is like, whenever there's an energetic pain, the energy's moving. So, like if you go to yoga class or a gym and you're shaking in the pose, you're like, if you haven't done it for a while, you're holding the pose, but you're shaking. Does anyone know that feeling? That's the energy starting to move through it's moving through. Yeah? So whenever there's pain like that or anything, headache, but you can also put your hand on it and say, okay, energy, what are you needing to tell me? What is the message you have for me? And listen, it'll talk to you. Okay, so Josephine said, I had a Netflix binge last night, wasn't tired at all, slept at 5:30, woke at 9:30, my body feels tired, warned family I might be moody today because of late night. Yeah, and it's important to acknowledge that, right? This is the flow, this is staying connected to your heart, this is being in reality with your feelings, right? And this is why I always talk about, women, tracking their menstrual cycle, and then also men tracking their menstrual cycle. And I know that sounds really weird, but men also need downtime. Men also go into a man cave, right? And it's important to work with each other in the household and teach your children, okay, if mummy's gonna bleed now, I'm really sensitive, I'm about to bleed, I need more help around the house, voicing those feelings rather than just losing it, which is what I used to do all the time. But when we can really own how we're feeling, track these cycles, we stay connected to our flow, we stay connected to each other, we stay connected to our heart. Yeah, this is big ear chakra consciousness here. This ear chakra consciousness, these ear chakras are missing in current mainstream, what everybody knows the chakras to be. This is missing, right? Adding the ear chakras in also takes it from 7 chakras to 8 chakras. It brings it back into balance. Brings it back into balance. Not 7. It's interesting, right? This is all about receiving, opening, connecting, staying connected to the flow, listening. All right, let me just check here. Okay, amazing. I work with kids each weekly class around a different chakra. Yes, awesome. And it's all surrounded by Naga the dragon. That's amazing, of course. So dragons are very powerful, guys. Very, very powerful to connect with. Okay, and just another thing too, I'm going to see if I can find it here. I'm just going to share it in the comments. Oops, that's it there. Oops, why didn't you come up? There we go. Okay, so just another important note on the waking up at night. Okay, so the feelings, checking in if it's feelings, or am I needing to download something for my business? Again, if you've got anxiety and shit during the day, it's feelings, okay? It's number one, so important. If all's good, you might have stuff downloading, right? The quietest time we can hear spirit usually is at night. Very powerful space to download. The other thing that's important to check in is the traditional Chinese medicine chart, okay? That's a TCM. And what that philosophy is about is that there is a I don't know what it's called, like there's a 24-hour cycle in your body with each organ in your body, yeah? And on this chart, it shows you the time, right? So when you're waking up at like, let's have a quick look here, so I'm saying it correctly. So from like, okay, 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., it's your liver. Okay, liver is overloaded, so on a physical level, detoxing, and you know, like our liver is our filter in our body. Our liver is our second biggest organ, yeah, and it sits on your solar plexus here, by the way. It's like a big rugby ball. It's huge, right? Second biggest organ. Our first biggest organ is our skin, right? And our liver is our filter. If your filter is clogged, if you've never done a detox, you know, it's like your car, if you know, you put it in for service to get the filter and whatever else changed, right? If you don't do that, it's going to clog up and eventually stop. Okay, so your liver also has, you know, huge important functions in your body, hormones creation or whatever. Like there's a lot of stuff there, right? I'm not a nutritionist or whatever. Anyway, you guys know, right? But the liver, if you're waking up, say at that time between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., it's really important to check, right? Because when we look at liver, yeah, what have I been eating? Yeah, I've been eating pretty shit the past few days to a week. Yeah, okay, maybe I need to clean up my diet, eat a bit cleaner, all right? Doesn't mean you have to do a massive detox, especially not right now with all the stress in the world. Okay, I wouldn't really recommend it unless your intuition is really calling it for you. And then what was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, so like on a physical level, okay, and then on a metaphysic level, the liver is deeply connected to your third eye and what you're seeing in your reality and seeing in your relationships. Yeah, are you seeing the truth, or are you turning a blind eye to the relationship and the truth and the crap that's going on and continues to cycle and go on and on and on? I know when I was I don't wake up during the night at all anymore. I know when I was in my 5-year relationship, my codependent relationship that I knew I had to leave, I would wake up like clockwork every morning between 1 and 3 because I was living out of alignment with my truth and not wanting to face the reality that I knew I had to leave that relationship. So I'm just giving an example there. If you're waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it's grief, right? So I'm just going to pop this link in the comments. This one that I'm reading from, I love this website, Organic Olivia. There's a 2-part article there, but she's awesome. I really resonate with her metaphysics on, you know, the different organs, and you can check. And even if you get tired at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon, or, you know, at 5 p.m., like have a look, like it's kidneys and stuff, you know, your kidneys need more support, you know, so tuning into how you can support your kidneys with different foods or even just lifestyle and all of that, okay? So just thought I'd add that in as well because it's so important. Okay. So let me check these comments. All right. Kylie says the earth is crying for us to look after her viruses, clean our bodies. I feel it's going around the earth, clean things up to upgrade. Yes. Trying to teach my daughter, it's starting to work. A teacher at school told her to keep thinking ideas. She's been speaking in school. She'd make a good philosopher. Awesome. Yes, awesome. So Richard says I started a journal about my childhood traumas. Yes. So I would, you know, write at the top of that purge page with the intention to clear and purge from my system, blah, right? And then I personally rip that out and throw it in the bin right away as a way of releasing. And then I always finish a purge session with positive affirmations following up. Yeah, creating your reality. You've just cleared the space by purging. So important to then go and fill it up with nice things. Yeah, the things you want to create. I've been having recently a good cry daily. Awesome. Yeah, so important. And you know, sometimes people say to me, oh, you shouldn't do that because it lowers your vibration, and I'm like, guys, it's a human emotion, and the lowering of the vibration is the ignorance of it, is the avoidance of it, right? So if you're telling me, oh no, you shouldn't do that because you're like, you know, you lower your vibration, but you're waking up with anxiety, you're stressing during the day, you're not at peace, guys, like just try it, please. Okay, I always say crying releases the stress hormone cortisol from the body. It is so important. Okay, all right, so Kelly says my headaches have started intensifying when asleep. You may have spoken to that. I'm coming on late online. Yeah, let me know if I have spoken a lot about that. It's the facing of new realities, so I'm not sure when you joined there, Kelly. What did I also want to say about that? Oh, so again, guys, make sure you're trusting that you're already doing this, right? This is a no-brainer. Turn your Wi-Fi off in your house. Turn all devices, iPads, computers, phones, like turn them all on airplane mode or turn them off at nighttime, okay? Like create a sacred ritual with your family, get everybody on board, okay? To be able to have the quiet connection time at nighttime, light candles and return back. There's something about candlelight over like the normal power lights in your house, let alone the devices, because devices is this blue light that blocks all the hormones in your body. If you don't have blue light blockers and you're constantly looking at a device or a computer, like I wear glasses that are specifically the blue light blockers. Yeah, if I'm at my computer too long, my eyes fucking hurt, man, right? And what the blue light coming out of the devices actually, like, I don't know, does something to our hormones and shit. Like it fucks us up, right? So the blue light blockers are really helpful. You can order them online. However, I don't know about shipping and stuff right this second in time, but I have to be, I choose to be online during the days, right? And then at nighttime, very conscious around turning everything off airplane mode, which is kind of easy off grid here, but I was even doing it at home. Turn the Wi-Fi box. Yes, you're still going to pick up other people's around your house and everything like that, but if you can create a sacred sanctuary in your space and be able to put up energetic boundaries by imagining a big bubble of light, use my internal compass chakra meditation. If you don't have that, it's free. You can download it. It is on the expansion preparation guide page, so make sure you've got that. You can listen to it offline. You can download the MP3. You don't even have to exchange your email at this time. It is so important that you have this, right? And the internal compass is like this, creates this, is an octagon right around you, and it creates like a force field shield around you, but it comes from the inside out. So it's a very powerful protective mechanism to be able to have your house have its own internal compass as well, yeah? And it creates this energetic boundary. So when you create this sacred space within your house and consciously, okay, I'm shutting down the Wi-Fi, I'm shutting down, turning off all devices, I'm creating a sacred sanctuary. So it's something about candlelight that does to our brain and body and eyesight and everything like that is really important, right? Okay, does the night mode on phones switch the blue screen off, switch it to brown bronze work? Yeah, I've heard that. I have heard that. And it's kind of weird because my daughter had actually told me, she's like, Mum, you can just turn the blue light off. And she showed me and I'm like, oh, it kind of looks weird. So I don't know. So yeah, and I don't know if that fixes it completely. Maybe it does, but yes, that is an option too, by the way. So awesome. Thank you for that reminder, Jeanette, because people probably can't order the stuff online at the moment with the world stuff. So yes, there is an option. I don't know about Android, but on the iPhones, like on the Apple, there is the option to turn it on. I don't know what the actual function is called. Blue. Can't remember what it's called. It is a function. It is a setting. So you can actually switch the blue light off. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that reminder. I forgot about that. That's why I got you guys here. See, we're all in this together. We all help. We all get the intuition. We just got to trust it and share it. So important. Share it. Don't keep it in. Share. All right. So Jeanette says, is it true we are starting to get downloads, high-pitched ringing in our ears to connect to higher source and left ear still for receiving? Yeah. So when I get downloads from source, specifically in my ear chakras, I hear it just here. This is my right side. And it's just here underneath. If I, that high-pitched ringing, it's just there, right? I don't know what that is. It's always been that way. And when I do hear that, I'm like, oh, what is that, right? And I pay attention to what I was just thinking about. I pay attention to the next 3 days, yeah, and ideas that start coming through about creating something or doing something or whatever, right? So my S7 and S9 have built-in blue light filters. Yeah, okay, yeah. So there is ways to turn it off your device, guys. But still, I would also have that complete shutdown at night time as well. That's the one. Yeah, I remember, because that's where I just looked, right? So when you flick down the, all the options there, that's what my daughter showed me. So when you hold the brightness, there we go. So you hold the brightness and it says dark mode off, night shift, true tone. Like there's all these options, right, when you hold it down. Yeah, and so, yeah, my daughter did show me that. Thank you for that reminder, because I forget that stuff. I'm like, how do you know this stuff? I guess it's all learning, isn't it? All learning. All right. So yes, pay attention to the downloads. Yes, super important. Okay, so Richard says, when I do Reiki on myself and others, I include a position that includes the ears. Yes, it does make such a difference, guys. Like, I was at this talk and like they were doing a 7 chakra meditation thing. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, in myself, I'm like, there's 8. I'm like, but what about people's ears, right? And I'm like, well, I'll just fucking, I was like sitting in the meditation and they got to like the third eye, so they were coming up and they got to the throat and they went to the third eye and I'm like, no. And I just activated everyone's ears in the room. Like I just did it. I was like, no, that's not happening, right? So I just did it and then, returned to the meditation. And then at the end of the talk, like, everyone's debriefing and one woman put up her hands and she's like, oh, my ears were really hurting. And I'm like, oh, that's the ears opening. And then he just like shut it down and he's like, oh, that's the throat and blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck, come on, people. No, it's all right. Just bitching, showing my hand. I've got stuff around that because I'm very passionate about the ears because it's so important. All right, I'm just going to quickly go through these comments and then I'm going to speak to the nanotechnology and the virus stuff because the nanotechnology is something I really want to speak to. It's really important to me that I speak to that. Okay, so Tina said I had a stiff neck and lump that moved around the back of my neck for 3 days. Okay, I wonder if it could be something to do with my reptilian brain becoming more activated. Thank you for bringing that up because I've actually had that too. Lucas has had just this kind of shoulder blade thing there. And I'm like, yeah, I've had it too. And I just thought, because I was sitting out here at my computer and at my desk, so I'm like looking down and I'm like, right, I need like a prop up of my thing where I'm sitting out here in the bush. And I had wondered if it was about us coming more into our heart as well, because, but it's also carrying the weight of the world. We're all feeling the earth shifts and like, what the fuck's going on in the world, trying to make sense of it. So we're like this burden of like powerlessness, but we're also awakening. But thank you for that reminder about the reptilian becoming more activated, reptilian brain becoming more activated, because that's awakening up through and connecting. Now, when we look at, when you get a massage and they like, those points behind your, like just under there, like, the base of your skull or whatever, and they're those points, and sometimes they'll like do that, but it's deeply connected into your heart there, like those strands that come down, or those muscles or whatever it's called. If that gets too windy, guys, just let me know and I'll plug my earphones in because I can feel the wind picking up there. So yeah, definitely. And like, whenever I feel anything like that, I'm like, oh, who am I carrying on my shoulders? Because shoulders are the burden, carrying the weight of the world. If it's on a particular side, is it female, is it male, like what's going on there, being able to receive, or also, like shifting into new realities and the stuff moving out through the heart. So yes, definitely could be that. Thank you very much for that awareness. Okay, so Amanda said, wow, okay, I just thought the headaches out of the blue was because of the schoolwork I've been doing with the kids every night, but can't sleep until after 2:30 a.m. Yeah, okay, so can't get to sleep. Again, you want to be able to have those wind down times, like from like 5 p.m. and it might seem like it's really early, so set it at 7 p.m., right? It's switch off time, connect with the kids, like do paintings together, like, sleep in the lounge room with a sleep out together, like reconnect, like this is the time that we have time to do that, and it can help us all wind down together. It can all help us come back into rhythm and routine as a connected family and strengthen our family immune system. So important. Why? Because we feel connected and emotionally full in our heart. We feel loved. We feel connected to each other. And that is the most powerful immune system on the planet, guys. Now, I just want to say as well, okay, so the headaches, everything like that. I'm actually just going to put my earphones in because I'm paranoid about the wind. So let me just speak to the headaches, the third eye pain, the anxiety in relation to 5G. Yeah, let me speak to this. All right, usually it affects from the wind a bit more. Okay, trusting you guys can still hear me, and I trust that you'll tell me if you can't. All right, so, oh, this is yummy. So, anxiety, third eye, pain, headaches, 5G. Most people will go, oh, they've turned 5G on. Oh, it's the chemicals. Oh, it's that. Oh, it's that. It's that. What do I say when we do this? There's 3 fingers pointing back at you. It's a bit like when somebody is deciding to stay in a relationship or leave. I say stay, do the work on yourself, and then come back to that decision. Why? Because if you leave and blame all the external factors and then you do work on yourself and you're like, fuck, that was me. If I'd only done this, if I'd only changed, if I'd only done this work first, I would have had a clearer decision and left with no regrets. Because sometimes we're like, but what if I'd done that first? Okay? The same thing, headaches, anxiety, grief, blah, blah, blah. If you guys are not religiously doing all these things that I've given you on this live stream, and what I always talk about, feel your feelings, connect, turn off devices, create an energetic boundary around your house, connect with your family, draw, do puzzles, sleep in the lounge room together, have a family sleep out, reconnect to your children, reconnect to your partner, reconnect to your heart. If you're not doing that, and do it for like a minimum 7 days, not just once. The world's in turmoil right now. Everyone's shifted out of the routine. If you guys haven't done that for a big chunk of time, do it first before you start blaming external factors. Why? Because nothing, in truth, nothing can affect you from the outside. Only what you allow into your energetic field, right? Do that minimum, strict discipline minimum for a week, minimum. Painting, drawing every night, connecting with family, doing those things, turning off devices, going to bed with sunrise, with sundown, and waking with sunrise. Minimum week. And then come back and tell me that it's the external factors, right? Why? Because this is a time for taking back our power. And if you continue to blame outside circumstances, whether it's the vaccines, whether it's the fucking fear, whether it's the 5G, I don't give a fuck what it is. If you are not doing these actions that I'm giving you the answer for, and you're still blaming outside, come back and talk to me once you've done what I've recommended to do. It's so important, guys. It's so important, okay? So not being able to go to sleep is the same thing. Full of feelings from the day, not being able to wind down. Are you still looking at your device as the last thing and you've got it next to your bed? And like, no, put them all in a little basket or something and put them all in the cupboard and close the cupboard with the intention of blocking off the energy of the device. It's a bit like a microwave. How do we know that, a microwave, they say that a microwave unplugged still emits all the shit, right? Like, probably same with the devices, I don't know. Anyway. All right, let me have a look here. Yay, Tina. Oh, I love hearing you guys use the ear chakras with your clients and awaken. Yes. So good. Okay, left is receiving downloads of info but not fully aware of right ear, being told it's connecting to higher source. Yeah, and I always say trust your intuition about what's right and what's left for you and what's receiving and what's not for you guys, because that can differ for everyone. And I always say trust intuition over what anyone says it has to be a certain way. Like, it's so important. Yeah. So important. All right, still checking these comments, and I really want to speak to this virus and the nanotechnology. Okay. Leanne says, I love that you're real and let us know you have stuff around certain issues. I've been struggling with being lied to by media, government, the abuse of people's trust. Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one, right? And it's a really big one. And I think the biggest wake up to that is, and what's coming out, like the government and everything, it's a company, it's a corporation. And when we look at the history and go back through the timelines, like, where did that start? Where did religion start? Where did the royals start? Where did the banks start? Like, what is that? There's a thing like the 5 people who control the world or something, like the Rothschild and stuff like that. It's like, follow the money. Right? Where does that start? And they're the corporations that control the world, right? And it's like, when we look at that, it's just a company and we're all buying into that system. Like taxes and the whole, it's a system, it's a business, it's a company, it's a corporation. When we can view it like that, we then realize how much of a choice we have in it. But then it's like, well, how do we actually do that? Right? And this is what I've been speaking to Lucas about. I'm like, so how do we support the people with this? Right? So I'm on it. Trust me, I'm on it. So yeah, and when you say I'm struggling being lied to by media, government, and the abuse of people's trust, like, and this is a big thing of what humanity is waking up to right now. Yeah, and that's why it's confusing. That's why there's all this anger and emotions, and why riots are probably going to go through the roof soon. It's the 1st of April and here we are, right? Okay. Spirit guide on each shoulder. Yes, keep trusting that. I wonder if that's your angel wings, Richard. So good. All right, so Sian says, I've been having pain in my heart and tightening in my left side, chest and ears. Not pain, more like echoing energy, vibration, and buzzing. You know what? I really had that really strongly. Okay, and this is what I want to speak to, right? These waves that are coming through. Now, whether it's to do with 5G, whether it's to do with government, whether it's to do with galactic outside alien sources that are like filtering beautiful energy, high vibrations on the planet, whether it's to do with our solar system moving through the solar system universe thing, who really knows? Okay, what we do know is that we feel these waves. Now on Sunday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, about 3 p.m, I felt this pain in my heart and I was like, woof, who am I feeling, right? What and who am I feeling? And that was, like I said, 3 p.m, Australian Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. And I was conscious of it, and we're driving. I was like, oh, is it the earth energies? And driving through all these different, land energies and stuff. I'm like, is it to do with Lucas? Is it to do, like, what is it going on? Am I feeling my clients? Am I feeling, run through the list. So important, right? Checklist, okay? Checklist. Where's this coming from? Tune in. I wasn't really clear about it, right? I got home, I took some time out to meditate, and I bawled my eyes out, okay? Pain in the heart. When you can feel the pain in your heart, it's grief, cry, bawl your eyes out, then I don't get anxiety. If I didn't take the time to do that, meditate and bawl my eyes out, I probably would have had anxiety through the roof. Then I probably would have gone in my head and then stressing out and then got to do a zillion things, and actually I need to stop. Now the next day, so Monday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, I was really tired. All afternoon, from 12 onwards, I was exhausted. I was like, what's going on here? Right? I sat with it. Yeah. And a lot of people were saying that that's when they really had the headaches amping up and the anxiety and everything. And I was like, okay, I need to speak to this, right? Because what I want to point out here is when this starts happening for you, whether it's a headache, whether it's heart pain, whether it's chest, there's a lot of this awakening going on right now, okay? The dragons bringing us into our heart, connecting us back to our roots, connecting us back to the truth and the magic and what's really true, right? Feeling into your heart about the truth. And the dragons being your guide through that as the reptilians, deeply in tune, right? A connected reptilian brain functions at the highest acute instinctual level possible. Do not disregard that. How acute your intuition becomes when you've reconnected your reptilian brain back to its natural state, not the disconnected space. It's big, right? So as soon as you start feeling something in your body or whatever, ask yourself, check the time, notice it, okay? Why? Because I guarantee at this point in time, it'll be collective. Yes, it stems back into yourself. I was crying about my own personal stuff, but then it's also tapped into the bigger collective as well, okay? So it's really important to check the time just so you can have a conscious awareness of the collective energy that's going on. So then you might see people posting on Facebook and you're like, oh, actually I had that too, and I had that too. Now, when I was going through that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, not Tuesday, actually I had a shift Tuesday, Monday night, I saw a lot of people go, oh, I feel amazing, right? And I'm feeling like shit. And you know how I always say there's usually two realities, this dual reality going on, right? Some people feel good, some people don't. Yeah? And so when we look at that, it's just being conscious. Maybe you're on this scale, bubble, vibration, maybe you're on here. It's not a judgment. It's just when you see people and they're like, amazing, and you feel shit, just know that you're probably here. And there's probably a lot of other people here with you, right? I feel like we shift. We're high, we're low. Just ride the waves, right? So when you start feeling that, be check the time, put your hand on your heart or wherever you're feeling it and ask, what is the message? Who's this? Who is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Not to blame, but to just make sure that you didn't just pick up somebody's energy when you're in town and then you've come home and brought that energy with you, okay? Because that happens. That's why I always say clear your energy and stuff. All right, I'm just going to move because the wind. I'm just going to move it here or something. Maybe that will help. You know what I mean? So Garrett says, I feel panic total, but then peaceful. I've had a lot of anger. Yeah, a lot of anger surfacing, right? And this is talking when Leanne says I'm having a lot of feelings around, being lied to by the government and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is the start of, remember I said to you guys, I'm like, the shock, the world was still in shock. And I'm like, guys, everybody's in shock. Everyone's like, whoa, what's happening? What comes next in the grief cycle? Anger, grief, and then we get on with life. Now there's little bits in between, of course, and it doesn't have to go in that order. But when we remember shock, anger, no, this isn't happening. No, how dare they do this? Like, oh my God, how did I not know this myself? Right? And then the grief hits us eventually as a collective, probably too, right? And these can all, switch from this one to this one, back to this, back to shock, back to, this is riding the wave, okay? And so what the point I want to share about, Sunday, Monday that I shared, and I was like, okay, 3 p.m, all right, full pain in my heart, got home, made space, meditated, ended up bawling my eyes out crying. If I didn't, I would have been in full anxiety. The next day, being super tired, I was like, oh, what's this about? And I just was gentle with myself, okay? Instead of pushing myself, I was gentle with myself. And the beauty about working for yourself is you can change your schedule around, right? Take time, go with the flow. Most of us can at the moment with this current state of the world, right? We can really tune into what we're needing in any moment. So then when you've got this idea, okay, yeah, I'm processing my own stuff, but also I'm wondering if this is a collective wave. Okay, let me check. How's other people feeling? That's what my reality awareness support group is for. Guys, you can post in there and say, hey, I'm feeling this. Is anyone else feeling it? Or is it just me? I'm doing this and this and this to support myself. I'm meditating. I'm taking time out, but I'm just curious what else is going on. Because a lot of people will probably say, I'm feeling that too, I'm feeling that too, and you're like, okay, cool, it's collective, it's not just me, because I feel like, and I don't really know, right? And this is where I said, is it government, is it 5G, is it the Galactic Federation pouring an abundance of light and energy onto the planet? Is it our solar system moving through the universe and without a magnetic field? Like, who really knows? Okay, who really knows? But what I do notice and recognize, there's like this dip, right? And I could describe it as a dip, right? And we're like, oh, we all feel it, yeah? And then we kind of come back up and we're like, okay, all right, it feels good, right? It shifted, right? And then I'm like, right? And then it would shift back up, right? Or whatever it's doing, right? It's a wave. Just like the in-breath and the out-breath. It's a constant ebb and flow. There's a nighttime and there's a daytime. It's a wave. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not crazy. You're not too emotional. You're not anything. You're a highly empathic, sensitive, ancient-blooded healer who's deeply connected to the earth energies, who is highly in tune with the earth. And the basis of what I teach and trust intuition is being able to fine-tune that so that you can continue to stay connected to your intuition and what you're being guided to do without being clouded and confused by all this shit, and learning how to ride the waves. Okay? So important. So you feel panic, total, then peaceful, have a lot of anger, it's riding the wave. So when you feel angry, like supporting yourself, like when you feel really tired, supporting yourself, sleeping more, taking a break, just leaving the housework and just freaking sitting down in the afternoon and drawing or something, or sleeping, or, connecting with your kids, do something gentle, right? Supporting yourself. With that anger, you can push against the door frame in the house because the door frame is really strong. It's a good way to get anger out quietly, like, you can like push, when you can scream in a pillow. And, for me personally, when I used to scream in a pillow all the time, back when I had a lot of anger coming out, I would scream in a pillow, and usually there's a whole pile of sadness that comes out. Yeah, under all anger is sadness. Yeah, and when we can let the anger out, then the sadness can come out. So it's really important to ride these waves, yeah? All right, so let me just check these comments here still. Okay. Amanda says, my God, you've hit the nail on the head, haven't you? We need to wake up to what's happening in our own self and family. So happy to have been able to watch you this morning. Best of luck. Yes, it's so important, guys. It's so important, this is the basis of taking back our power and staying connected to our intuition. Nothing outside of you can hurt you. You know what I mean? And if you're not taking these protective precautions, it's not about protection either. This is basic self-care. This is basic self-care, guys. Basic self-care. Switch your devices off. Return to family. Forget the outside world just for the night times. Reconnect to self. You guys can do whatever you want during the day. And then at nighttime at 5 p.m, we're all coming back as a family and we're reconnecting to our heart, because this is how we boost our immune system. Nothing outside of us can hurt us. Why? Because we're connected as a strong unit and family. You guys can sense it, right? With some people in the families, you tune into the family and they're kind of all disconnected and the kids are a bit bratty and blah, blah, blah. You can really tell when the families are very connected and grounded and the whole family has got this different energy about them. Why? They take time to connect like that. Yeah? All right. So Leanne says, like you staying open to the solution because it already exists, 100%. 100%. Okay, let me speak to this nanotechnology. Okay, so, that's what it was. Archangel Metatron. Okay, thanks guys. I know I took a little while to get here. However, let me speak to this. I'm just going to find the screenshots that I took the other day. I think it was in here, hoping it was. Okay, so in December 2019, for those of you who don't know me, I work very closely with the archangels. I have since 2005, very deeply connected to them. I've done a lot of work with them, have a lot of courses on them, meditations, all that sort of thing that you can connect with them too, because they've changed my life. I work with them all the time. Now, there's lots of different consciousness of the archangels, right? So in my 21-day Activate Your Archangel Frequency, you have 21 days to connect with the archangels and raise your vibration and frequency to that of the archangels. Yeah, very, very powerful. From there, we take it, maybe it's called deeper. Yeah, we take it deeper. Yeah, and with this deeper, maybe it's more in the subconscious, maybe, I don't know how to describe it, right? The next step from being conscious of the archangels and their frequency and working with them and having a relationship with them and them supporting your consciousness and all that sort of thing, then we step into the light and dark side of each archangel, yeah? So just like I shared before, that Rapid Ascension Awakening that I'm creating is an entire course on each chakra, because each chakra has a specific consciousness. And that's what I'm creating each course on, so you get a deep understanding. Just like we can go deep in the rabbit hole, like with so many of these. Sometimes I'm like, do I really need to talk about all this? That's why some of the courses are really big. Anyway, the consciousness of each chakra, okay? With the archangels, like I said, they hold a particular consciousness, right? Their vibration and their frequency is actually a specific consciousness and awareness. And when you attune to their vibration and frequency, you are attuning to that level of consciousness. Okay, I don't like using the word levels, but let's just keep it for explaining sakes right now. Okay, so when we work with each archangel, we're activating a specific consciousness in our vibrational field. Okay, so yes, it raises our vibration and blah 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 blah, right? Now when you look at it, every light has a dark, every dark has a light, and then there's a balance in the middle, because everything is on the spectrum between day and night, and then there's the middle. There's summer and winter, and then there's autumn in the middle, right? There's always an in between. There's always a vibrational scale. There's happy and there's sad, and there's everything in between. Okay, so in December, I was driving to the airport to pick up my daughter. This is back in Queensland. And I was like, right, I need to clear my energy. And I was listening to, probably not recommended while you're driving, but I was listening to my chakra clearing meditation. And then automatically the Archangel Shadow meditation came on. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm meant to listen to this. Let's see who comes through. And it was Archangel Metatron. And I'd forgotten about this until Saturday, by the way, guys. And I was like messaging, and I put in my Trust Intuition group, because this is where it was. I was like, oh my God, it was Archangel Metatron. I'm like, really? So before I had done this meditation, check it out. How cool. It's 11:11 on the 1st of April. Ding, ding, ding. Just as we're talking about Metatron, by the way. Oh my goodness, this is so significant. Talk about timing. Okay, so just before I'd driven to the airport, let me rewind a little bit. I'd come across this post in a spiritual group, like I always trust spirit to show me what it wants to show me, when it wants to show me. I just do my thing, and then these things come up. And in some spiritual group, some woman had said, she posted this thing, right? And I took a screenshot of it, so I'm just going to read from bits of it. And she was talking about the Spider-Man 3 movie. Now, I haven't personally seen it, but what she posted about it, I was like right there with it. I totally got it, right? And she says here, you all watched Spider-Man 3, going deeper into goo venom, right? Did you know the agenda behind this? They have to inform you of their plans and convince you to choose the other side. This is all about the programmable black goo and what it is and how it's being used as a genetic weapon to stop us ascending into 5 density, into 5D reality, okay? It's present in our food, water, and the air we breathe. Now, research, relearn, and refocus on the higher thoughts and feelings. Now, this really caught my attention. Okay, this caught my attention. This black goo, and this is dropping into the nanotechnology, right? This is what we're dealing with currently. Okay, so hear me out, because there's a little bit of explaining to what I'm actually going to talk about with it. So in her post, she said, as the black goo has magnetic properties of high energy with very controlled and very specific frequencies, as a result of fractal crystals, it has the ability to modify the soul frequency of an organism that is or has been in contact with it, because in themselves they are frequencies in accordance with life, as they are a result of life itself in general. It is consistent not only with the Atma, which is the soul, frequency of a living being with consciousness, but also with brain waves, modifying them in accordance to the principle of the dominant frequency. I know that's a lot to take in. Stay with me. Now, rewind maybe about 6 or 8 months ago, prior to December, I had this thought and I posted about it, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, yes. So you know, like the Bluetooth technology, I love technology. I'm not scared of it. I freaking love it. Whatever. Love AI. Whatever. Right? It's just like you either love or you hate something. I love it because I can share my message with the world. Okay. What I started noticing with the Bluetooth, and it dawned on me one day, right? Because you know how like we can be talking about something with someone or texting, and then all of a sudden we start seeing the advertisements for it, or it starts coming up in our field. That's AI, right? And it's always listening, as you guys know. Yeah. Now, when we look at Bluetooth, what dawned on me is, because when I started using Bluetooth, obviously I noticed a big difference, right? And I had this dawning thought that like the Bluetooth is changing my vibrational frequency and creating crystals and structures within my brain, and then the brain crystal, even without the Bluetooth, was transmitting my thoughts. Now you guys know that crystals amplify and transmit frequencies. What did Atlantis and Lemuria use in that technology? This was their technology, wasn't it? This is in every device, computer, phone, like this was in these devices now. And so this is just an intuitive theory that came through months ago. Does the Bluetooth then create crystalline structure in our brain and the thing that I noticed, and what made me drop in with this, is because I was thinking something and it started showing up in my feeds and stuff. I hadn't texted to anyone, hadn't spoken about it to anyone recently, and it would start showing up. And then I was like, how is that happening? And that's when that dropped in. Now, when we look at this magnetic goo and like the crystalline structure and the frequency, I was like, oof, right? Sorry, I'm just wiping my phone because it's filthy with my fingerprints. Now, let me just not digress. Let me just leave that to the side for a minute, okay? Coming back to Archangel Metatron. So in the Lightworker Practitioner training that I did in 2005, Michelle Lightworker wrote the darkness, transforming darkness to light. This is level 3 of the Lightworker Practitioner training. Emily says she's experienced that. Yeah. So this is level 3 of the Lightworker Practitioner training. And in here, we talk about the extremes of each archangel, therefore the consciousness, what I was talking about before. Now, fast forward back to December when I said I was driving to pick up my daughter and the Archangel shadow came on, and I was like, let's see who wants to come through. And it was Archangel Metatron. And I was like, this is so interesting. And I was like keen to get back home and see what it was in the book. So Archangel Metatron, his archetype, right? So when we talk about the consciousness of each archangel, the consciousness or the archetype of Archangel Metatron is innocence, okay? Now, the dark is the Aramanic and the light is the Luciferic, yeah? There's 2 influences on this specific level of consciousness. So innocence is in the middle, right? On the Luciferic, which is the bright and light and loud and I'm the best and you have to follow me and blah, 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 right? The Luciferic is guiltlessness. So they can take actions and not feel guilty. Kind of when you look at the pedophilia ring and all the shit that's going on, yeah, it's pretty Luciferic on the innocence right now, right? The Aramanic which is the yin, which is the dark, okay? The aromatic is guilt. So we feel guilty. And this puts us into people pleaser mode. And like, oh, I feel bad, so I better save the world. We're talking about it before. How interesting, right? So let's just say like pedophilia, like that guiltlessness, taking actions and not feeling guilty at all, right? There's a lot of that going on in the world right now when we look at what's happening, yeah? And then the feeling guilty, people pleasers, light workers have got to save the world and feel drained, and then they get exhausted because they're in this dark side. Interesting, we think we're in the light. Bear with me here, okay? So, when we look at this, right, I'm going to read from the book Archangel Metatron on innocence, okay? Innocence in children is pure wisdom, right? So we've got the Luciferic, right? Imagine a line here in the scale. Innocence in the middle is the balance. Light, dark, guilty, guiltless, don't fucking care. Don't feel an ounce of guilt. Totally unconscious and I'm the best and I'm right. It's my way, right? Innocence in children is pure wisdom. Little side note, when I teach trust and intuition, our inner child is where our innocence, purity, this is where our trust in the world comes, right? If you're struggling to trust yourself, do inner child healing work. This is the core of where your intuition, life purpose, everything lays. Yeah? Pure wisdom. What's this also called? What do children do? They live from the heart. What are we talking about? Coming into 5D consciousness. How interesting. 5D is all fifth dimension, living from the heart. Innocence in children is pure wisdom. It is highly intuitive and a blank slate of openness to learning and knowing. When we are like a child with innocence, we are open to the wisdom of the universe. The innocence is something that we all experience as children, and we are born into this life until we become conscious of ourself, usually around 7 years old. 5 to 7. Yeah? Then it sort of shuts down and the world's shit. Right? In a way. Check out your own timeline, right? However, this innocence is powerful and connects us to the purity of not knowing yet connected to God. So we don't yet know, we're not conscious yet, but we're so connected to God. Our intuition, our purity of self, right? We trust like a child. We have childlike faith. We believe totally that we are supported because there is no other reality except that connection to God. Until we experience hard knocks and then believe that it is not safe to trust. Look at where the world is, yeah? Innocence is something that we can experience. We can trust like a child at any time we consciously choose to. I'll check comments shortly. I'm going to read the Luciferic influence, right? The extreme of the guiltlessness for Archangel Metatron, right? This is really important message, guys. I feel like I just need to do this, okay? So important because this gives a deep understanding of what's playing out on the planet right now. This came through to me in December last year, yeah? The Luciferic, the guiltlessness that I'm right and you're wrong and I don't feel guilty or remorse about anything that I'm doing wrong, hurting humanity, yeah? Because I'm the light. I am the light. I am the savior. Look out for those people. I am incarnated. I don't know if I can get me away from them. It's this. When there is a heightened state of innocence, it creates a conscious state of being without conscience. We don't believe that we have to take ownership of anything. It's not my problem. We believe we are not guilty even when we have done something inappropriate or against the law. This lack of ownership and accountability disconnects us from a higher power, from source. Once again, we think we are the higher power. I'm this person incarnated. I'm the savior. I'm the light. It's total like disconnection. We may have a distorted reality around what we think is right. This extreme of this state of being could be behavior such as that as a psychopath, totally cut off from feelings and ownership of behavior and believing that we have the right to do whatever we want guilt-free. We may prey on the innocence of others. However, it is possible to be influenced by these forces so that we commit the perpetration of the act and feel guilty afterwards. So this is where people are overtaken by this. They'll do the act and then they'll be like, oh fuck. It's a bit like an animal. I know this is a bit of a not right analogy, but it's a bit like an animal. Instinct kicks in, and especially if it's a pet. They're like, oh, I'm not supposed to be doing this, right? They feel that afterwards. They're overtaken. However, it is possible, I said that. So we see this in some pedophiles that have been abused themselves. Some of them may know that what they are doing is wrong. They may even hate themselves after it. However, they still do it because of the extreme of these forces overtaking them. Doesn't make it right or wrong, guys. I'm not saying that. I'm giving you an understanding of what the fuck's playing out on the planet right now. Let's have a look at the Aramanic. Feeling guilty. The dark side. A total rejection of innocence is guilt. So this is where we feel like we've done something wrong, but we actually haven't. We know we're innocent, but no, maybe I have done something wrong. We blame ourselves for everything that is going wrong with ourselves and others. This guilt is heavy. It is a burden. It is toxic and like a big weight that weighs us down. Guilt is one of the most heaviest emotions that there is. It is hard to snap out of. We usually have to medicate guilt because it is so binding and uncomfortable. So addictions, patterns, When we are in the darkest place with our guilt, we think that the world would be better off without us. What happens in this place? Suicide. We may be totally convinced of this fact. We may not even realize that we are blaming ourselves for everything. Guys, you've done nothing wrong. Please no. You're just feeling the weight of the world. We may not be conscious of this. Energetically, though, we may have taken on all of the problems of the world and everyone close to us, and we cannot cope with holding that energy anymore. Sometimes suicide may seem like the easy way out from the uncomfortable feelings that we feel. When we are in total guilt, we are shut down and we are not open to sharing our problems. We think that this will burden somebody else. This usually presents as very depressed and worn down, shoulders slumped. We may apologize all the time and spend a great deal of time trying to do things for others to make up for the guilt we feel about ourselves. Healthy guilt gives us an ownership of our behavior. Toxic guilt tells us we are responsible for somebody else's behavior. This is why I always talk about you've done nothing wrong. You've done nothing wrong. This is also why I talk about clearing your energy, like being conscious of your energy, clearing your chakras, asking everything I've shared on this live stream before I've talked about Metatron and these extremes, the influence of the Aramanic and the Luciferic, the dark and the light, okay? That's why I'm teaching you guys to be conscious of your energy, because there's a lot of light workers here. We think we're saving the planet and we're doing all these things. We're in the dark side. We're in the Aramanic hole, feeling guilty and like we've done something wrong. And again, this stems back to childhood, when stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about, when you actually just hurt because, oh my God, you saw your teddy bear get ripped apart or some shit. It's not okay to cry about that. That thing was really important to your heart. So important. Emily says this is like my voice being heard for the first time. Good, I hope you're crying, so that I can hold you to heal in this space. Let me read Archangel Metatron's message. He says, so the shadow integration of innocence, meaning when we have integrated our dark side and our light side of these two extremes. Why? Because what we see existing in our reality is on the bandwidth, and we are part of the bandwidth. We are not separate from it. When we can integrate the dark side and feeling guilty and the light side, when we have done things and then we've become conscious that fuck, that was actually the wrong thing to do, and we are still judging others because they're doing the wrong thing, yet that means we haven't integrated what we've done wrong in the past. Okay? So if you're triggered by what's going on in the world, you need to do the shadow integration of Archangel Metatron. And when you have, it says here, the shadow integration of innocence. Yeah? When we have integrated innocence, we are able to own our behavior and admit to others without guilt. Meaning, yeah, I fucked up. But doesn't mean we go in this dark space and like, oh my God, I need to make it up to them and people please till I'm exhausted. No, right? Our guilt motivates us to own our mistakes and make a change. It's no point in saying, it's not what it says, this is what I'm saying. It's no point in saying sorry unless you're going to change your behavior. And until we actually integrate these aspects within ourselves, usually behavior doesn't change. Our guilt motivates us to own our mistakes and make a change. We reflect and investigate why we did what we did. However, we are not dependent on an investigation to remove our guilt. We are not dependent on an investigation to remove our guilt. We don't have to have the reason why to be able to remove the guilt. Don't wait for that. Guilt's a heavy burden. We simply forgive ourselves by removing the judgment of the fact that we may have slipped up. Because we're only judging ourselves for the mistake we've made. And that's a heavy burden. Yeah? We allow ourselves, no matter how many mistakes, to trust a higher power, source, spirit, 100%, to assist us to change our behavior. When we do this, we open up to the guidance like the innocence of a child. We don't question our guidance. We may question our feelings around our guidance. We may explore our guidance, our intuition, but we trust our guidance 100% because we know we have received it for a reason, even if it does not come true. This is where I talk about trusting intuition, guys. It comes from this innocence and purity of self in your inner child. We are able to continue to turn up and be like a child with receiving steps that we need to take on our journey one day at a time. What do I talk about with trusting intuition? I'm just going to read Archangel Metatron's actual message about transforming the shadow, transforming the Aramanic and Luciferic. And then I'm going to talk about what this has to do with black goo, nanotechnology, and what's going on in the world right now. So Archangel Metatron's message: I am here to assist with the integrating of the child aspect of the psyche. I can help you understand the inner child that is now calling you forth to accept and be listened to. You may find that beyond the superficial aspect that you first notice the inner child, such as how they look and what they are doing and what they are indeed masters of wisdom and knowledge that can unlock the secrets and the truth of the universe because they're so tapped in. You can spend some time with them to look deeper into their knowing. Not only do they hold a certain gift for you at the time of reintegration of this aspect of yourself, also known as life purpose, however, they are also the keepers of divine wisdom that you can access and delve into. Spend some time dialoguing with them through visualization, writing, or other forms of expression. They might like to draw or paint a picture of their wisdom. They are creatures that connect to certain aspects of the all and the deeper wisdom that reflect back to you. By doing so, they enhance your life and that of others. When you find this wonderment inside of yourself, you will find it inside of children and also inside the inner child of those you are relating to in your relationships. You now feel the depth of third eye, inner child, wisdom, power over Luciferic, power over, coming into balance. Solar plexus is our personal power, and taking back our personal power is this balance in the middle here. It's integrating the light and the dark side, because we've all done things wrong in our life that are actually like, fuck, I shouldn't have done that actually. And we learn from that, right? But sometimes we can flick into the guiltlessness here, yeah? And so it's interesting. So if you guys haven't done inner child work, on my website under audio meditations, you can purchase the inner child meditation by itself. There's like 5 training videos in there. Please take time to watch them, because I go through exactly how you can use the inner child meditation, what happens if they're not there, ways to use it on a 21-day or 30-day cycle to really heal core stuff and shift out big trauma by doing it yourself. If you are called to that, it is available there for you. So yes. Okay, so Richard says, I now understand the reason why I was so heavily drawn to it, the Archangel Metatron meditation. So the Archangel Metatron activation is interesting because, like I said, this black goo stuff came through to me in December last year, and I'd forgotten about it until last Saturday, to this Saturday just gone, right? And I was like, oh, this is so interesting. I was like, oh my God, because like I said, 2 weeks ago, before I left to come here on this road trip, Archangel Metatron channeled through me that morning with the sacred geonometrics meditation, with an activation, which activates more oxygen in your system, right? And then when we look at nanotechnology, right, and the black goo, and it having its own consciousness, and the Bluetooth and the crystalline structures, right? This is the important point I want to point out, guys, right? Because people are stressing about 5G and the damage and the freaking fearing it. What did it say about that black goo? Let me read that again. Okay. It is consistent with the soul frequency of a living being with consciousness, but also with its brain waves, modifying them according to the principle of the dominant frequency. So if you are in fear most of the time, that is going to be, like, that's the virus, guys. Do you get it now? Do you get what I'm saying now? Yeah? Let me read that again. It is consistent not only with the soul frequency of a living being with consciousness, so any human being, because they're conscious to some extent, but also with its brain waves, modifying them according to the principle of the dominant frequency. So if you are in fear most of the time, that is the virus. Get it? It's not about the vaccine. It's not about the airborne stuff. It's not about the physical jab. It's not about the chemicals. It's the consciousness. This is beyond the physical, guys. This bio-warfare, World War III, this is beyond, it's beyond biological stuff. It's a consciousness war, maybe. I don't like using that word. Do you guys get it? Okay. It's of a living being with consciousness, but also with its brain waves, modifying them according to the principle of the dominant frequency. So, do you understand now where you have a choice in your power in taking back your power depending on where your dominant frequency is? Okay? So when we look at the Bluetooth and what I shared, if you're just joining live, you're probably going to watch this. I know it's a long live stream, but you're going to be wanting to, even multitasking, listening. You don't have to sit here and watch me. Listen, yeah? The crystalline structure that the Bluetooth and all the technology that they keep bringing out is changing our frequency by creating crystalline structures through our brain frequencies, because it's all electric, it's all, well, magnetic electric, and what's the other word? I don't know, some other word for it, right? But we also, like a lot of my meditations, the dragon spirit guide activation, the star being guide meditation, yeah, so the dragon spirit guide meditation, as I said, guys, is in the crown chakra consciousness course. You can't purchase that by itself, you need to purchase the course. The meet your star being guide is by itself, actually. You can purchase that on my website by itself. Those ones have specific activations that are activating crystalline structures through your body, right? So with the, and even the Archangel Metatron activation that came through, right? You can also purchase that. It's $11. And that is a crystalline structure activation. A lot of my meditations that are coming through in the past, maybe since August 2018, are activating crystalline structures throughout your body. Okay, you want to talk about the best protection for immune system, and yes, everything I talked about with consciously connecting with the humans around you and creating that force field energy heart field, right? But also, like, listen to these meditations with your kids, guys. Get them to activate this in their system too. It's important. Draw sacred geometry. Like with your drawings and stuff, do you know how powerful it is to draw sacred geometry? Like, guys, like, get those compass things, or just freaking draw. Like, drawing sacred geometry activates it within your body and system. Like, it's so important, right? So if you guys are on what's it called, on Instagram, well, he's actually on, what's his name, on Facebook as well. So Robert Edward Grant, I've come across him just recently, and he is like big in he's big in drawing all the sacred geometry. Drawing these things actually activates it in your body. Listening to the meditations and visualizing these like structures around your body and through and into your cells and into the molecular structure and activating it within your blood, that is the best form of protection right now. Why? Because of everything I just said on here. This isn't about an airborne virus. This is beyond the physical. This is a consciousness. This is a consciousness. Print the flower of life and trace it. Yes, print stuff out and trace it. You know, and you know how you can like cut out the shapes and actually make the 3D shape. Very powerful for activating in your systems. Like this is a consciousness. I don't like using the word war. It is, guys. It's beyond the physical. With everything that I just shared about the Luciferic and the Aramenic, this is like the basis of it, right? And it's interesting with, you know, apparently the pedophile ring and everything's being taken down right now. Well, good. Is it coming back to here? Or is it just another layer of this? Who really knows? Time will tell with that stuff. But the best form of protection is a happy heart and activating these sacred geometrics in you, right? And I still use Bluetooth. Why? Because I just love it, right? But I'm conscious of the frequency and the crystalline structure it's creating within my brain, but I'm also creating that because I'm conscious of it. So I'm creating it how I want it, because nothing has power over me. Truth bomb. Just saying, guys. So when you said, Emily, like, how do you know where it is from? Can you let me know what do you mean there? Yes, coloring, geometric books, yes, all of that. Anything, any drawing, coloring, any of the sacred geometry stuff, like do it. Do it as your meditation, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, please do it because that's your thing, yeah? Okay, so Mary says, I can relate to the last bit. I have started doing the owning up bit. I can say sorry if I'm wrong. It takes a while to be able to do that, but it feels better. Yes, exactly, right? It takes a bit, but it is. And that's a deep shift in consciousness. When somebody feels remorse, that's when the true healing is happening. Yeah, the true awakening, the true shifting is happening. All right, just checking I missed any of these comments. So Richard says, as a kid, I build AM, FM radio circuits, but couldn't figure it out at the time why crystals were used. Yeah, how interesting, right? It's deep in the Atlantis stuff. So what book? This is from Transforming Darkness to Light. It's level 3 of the Lightworker Practitioner training. I can post it. It is in our Trust Intuition group. But I'm creating the ear chakra consciousness right now. In the throat chakra consciousness, all this stuff will be in there. Yeah. Danny says, Archangel Metatron is around me so much. I'm having to spend a lot of time with him to see what I need to learn from him or receive from him. Yeah, so Archangel Metatron is deeply connected to children and highly, like attention to a higher dimension, like allowing that consciousness in and supporting the high frequency children. Very associated with, is it rainbow tourmaline? Is that what it is? And those colors, the purple and green, are Archangel Metatron's colors as well. This is like listening to myself, yeah. So Danny says, this is exactly how I feel this morning. This was the grief. However, I've been recently found out that my ex-partner has been suicidal and receiving treatment. I think this is what I'm feeling. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting, right? So you can integrate that, we just spoke about the suicide and that feeling guilt and remorse. And in that space, it's like, nobody can help me, those sorts of feelings. That when we can do a shadow integration on that helps them shift. Yeah. So I definitely recommend that. Totally resonate with what you just said. Yes. So Mary says, I can relate to the last bit. I have started doing the owning up. Oh yeah, I read that one. Sorry. Yes. Makes sense. Yeah. Jeanette says, I watched a documentary on this the other day. Very true. How interesting. How interesting, right? The solution is already there. Okay. Yeah, awesome. All right. Did I cover everything? I know that was really big and long, but it was so important for me to share. It was so important for me to share because I'm just like, oh my God, was that really Archangel Metatron that came through in the black goo and the nanotechnology? I'm like, this is beyond the physical airborne virus because air is still a 3D thing. The 5D is the consciousness, right, that we're shifting into with a higher frequency. And that's what they're trying to shut down, right? And so when we can really tap into the fact that the crystalline structure that we, with that vibration and activating that within our cells, this is the real, I don't like using the word war, this is the real protection. That's, you know what I mean? The activations, using a dragon to activate that within your system, the star beings activate that within the system, you know? So, yeah, the archangels, all of that, so important. Oh, I didn't really talk about homeschooling, didn't really come up, did it? I'm going to talk about it on a different live stream, I think, because I felt like this is what really needed to come out. Makes so much sense. Yes. Yeah, so glad you did share. Thank you, no matter if it's long. Yeah, it is really long. It's really long. Awesome. So dragons that I spoke about that. Yes. Oh, and the tsunami was so interesting. I'll just speak to that quickly. The tsunami stuff, it dropped in when I was doing the washing the other day. It's so interesting, like when we're doing the mundane things, that's when the intuition comes in, driving or showering or whatever. Yeah, you're so welcome, Marie. Yes. So the tsunami, I was like, it wasn't the tsunami of the physical ocean. And like I said at the start, I'm like, well, that's, you know, is that in 50 years or 100 years or another 500 years before the continents shift again? Who really knows? But the current move inland, and maybe that was just for me, but to get out of suburbia, out of the 5G, if they're really going to switch on the 5G, and I know a lot of us are in lockdown, so can't really do much about it, but it was more about the 5G tsunami. Like, I don't know, maybe it's not, but that's what kind of come in, right? I contracted the virus from working frontline. Is this because my vibration is low? Yes and no. You know, like from a homeopathic space, and I might get in trouble for saying this, and I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a homeopath, I'm not anything like that. This is just from my intuitive understanding. You know, from a homeopathic sense, you know, like like on a homeopath, what do? We actually take the thing. You know, a vaccine is that we also take the thing, but I wouldn't get a jab for it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like this, you know, like if we allow our system to get it, it's a bit like, you know, we get sick, we get the viruses. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if I've got it, you know what I mean? But I'm not fearing it. And they say, you know, well, when the radio frequency turns on, then it's activated. And I'm like, well, that's a belief. That's a belief system, a bit like the Bluetooth creating the crystals. And I'm like, well, I can choose the crystalline structure. Thank you very much. Right? And I work to change that. And I work with that virus. And you know, for me personally, we can integrate and shift and transform anything with shadow work. So for me personally, I would be doing shadow meditation. So you can purchase the shadow meditation on my website under audio meditations. It's only $7. You can listen to it right away. You really had no fear. Yeah, and for me personally, like I'm still going into town, getting our food and stuff. There's people walking around with masks, and I'm like, I'd rather get it and my immune system, you know, do you know what I mean? I don't know how to describe it. Like, I know it's a homeopathic thing. I'm like, it's the fear that if I activate the fear within myself and go into fear about it, I'm probably going to get sick and die. But that's the same if I feel like I'm going to get the flu and get sick and die, or if I'm going to get measles and get sick and die. Like, if I believe that, that's going to be my reality. If I believe that my immune system is consciously like working with that and like adjusting to that, because the thing is with chemicals, with new technology, with, you know, all this stuff, I would rather adapt and evolve and grow with it rather than get stuck behind and fear it and stay back here. Yeah, so like with the Bluetooth and the technology, like I'm always updating all the technology except the, like my phones are not the iPhone 10 yet. Is it 10, 11, whatever, right? I went to do that before my road trip and it didn't work, and I'm like, oh, just leave it for now. I'm kind of glad that I did, right? But in this thing, you should have an immunity. Yeah, and that's the thing where I'm just like, you know, I would rather my body, you know, do that, and I've always been like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you know, people are like, oh, I'm sick, you're going to get sick, and I'm like, no, And I don't, do you know what I mean? Because I'm not worried about it. I'm not fearing it, you know. And the thing I want to point out, guys, is the grief, the anxiety, the feelings in our heart, and avoiding them. That's what lowers our immune system. And then we do get sick. You know, I cry a lot because I'm conscious. That's how I release the cortisol that lowers my brain waves back to the balanced state. If I'm not consciously aware of my feelings, and like, you know, I shared that 3 p.m. on Sunday, the heart, and then I came back and I meditated and I cried and I bawled my eyes out. Then the next day I was really tired. You know, if I'd pushed myself gung-ho and not done any of that, maybe I would be sick, right? But because I know to take care and ride these waves and rest my body and cry when I need to and stuff, because it really releases, I've been talking for ages, releases the cortisol from my body and brings my system back into homeostasis balance. That's the best immune system. Yeah. I don't normally worry. This took me like a rugby tackle, didn't see it coming. Yeah, so I would be working with the shadow meditation with the Emily, definitely, because for me that's the homeopathic remedy. The shadow, the light, the dark, everything I just spoke about with Archangel Metatron, when we integrate that on an energetic level, remember, this is not a physical thing, it's a consciousness thing, right? So when you bring your conscious awareness, which is what shadow work is, yeah, doing a shadow meditation is a specific step-by-step like way of that meditation. It's on my website. To listen to it, and I recommend listening to it for like a series of days. So I'd do like a 7-day stint every day, or do a 30-day stint every day, and just see what shadow part comes up. But when you do that, that's when it's just like, this is, you know, we're talking about a consciousness war right now. This is how we fight that. Does that make sense? Yeah, awesome. I think I was being guided for my time out for shadow work. Yeah, rest and that sort of thing too. So it's not one thing, guys. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, we can eat healthy, but if we're in fear, we're going to get sick. Like, you know what I mean? It's not just one thing. It's also the whole picture. Yeah, the light and the dark, and all on the vibrational scale with our emotions, with our physical health, with our emotional health. It's all part of it. So we need to do all things. We rest, we meditate, we eat healthy, we sleep. Sleep is the best healer. Sleep, water, and what's the other thing? Crying? There's something else there. Self-care. I've been talking for ages. I'm starting to... All right. So I've been finding single dimes in the most odd places, but now I know who's trying to contact me. Yes, I love that. Love it, love it. All right. Let's have a look. It's definitely deeper. I've been drawn to the Merlin series, Stonehenge documentaries, Dragons of Magic. Yeah, there we go. All right, guys. All right, if you'd like to work with me privately, please send me a message and we can work out which the best program is for you. If you haven't downloaded the expansion preparation guide, you can do that. There is the link in the comments, in the title of this live stream, or send me a message and I can send you the direct link. You can also find it on my website, realityawareness.com. If you think that this live stream can help somebody, please share it with them in a private message or tag their name in the comments. Otherwise, you can share it on your page. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe, and I shall see you guys very soon. I love you guys heaps. Remember, this is about consciousness and nothing else. Just continue to, meditate, connect deeply with your heart, do all those things that I mentioned on this live stream, because if you're not, and you're still in fear, and you're not doing this protocol that I've given you the answer and the solution for, I don't really want to hear your complaining and whinging, said with so much love, because I'm giving you the answer. Just do it for 7 days, do it for 30 days, and then come back and tell me that it's not working, okay? Because nothing has power over you but your own brain thinking. So please take this to heart. It is the truth, and it is exactly how we're going to get through this together. I love you guys heaps.